Late at night, a young woman named Lee Yu-yun quietly leaves her house without telling her parents. She walks alone down a dark country road, not knowing that a killer is already waiting somewhere in the night. At first, everything is silent. Then strange sounds rise from the field beside her. Yu-yun turns around nervously, and one by one, the streetlights begin to go out. Fear takes over. She starts running as fast as she can, disappearing into the darkness. The next morning, Yu-yun's mother steps outside to pick up the newspaper, but in the flower bed, she notices something arranged in a neat row. At first glance, they look like pieces of food. Then she puts on her glasses, looks closer, and collapses on the spot. They are 10 bloody, severed fingers. From the nail polish, the mother recognizes them immediately. They belong to her daughter, Lee Yu-yun. But the nightmare does not end there. Out in a field of reeds, police discover the body of another young woman. Her feet are wrapped in plastic bags, her ankles are tied with a bow, and all 10 of her fingers are missing. The body is not Yu-yun. It is Bang Ju-sun, a local young woman connected to the village. That day was supposed to be a family memorial day, but Yu-yun's twin brother, Lee Dong-shik, never showed up. Earlier, Dong-shik had argued with Ju-sun after a small conflict at a cafe. Later that night, he sent a message to his sister and rushed out of the house. After that, he vanished for a while too. At the crime scene, police find a guitar pick. It belongs to Dong-shik. With that pick, the message, and Dong-shik's strange disappearance, the police quickly turn him into the main suspect. Yu-yun's father refuses to believe his daughter is dead. Every day, he waits along the road she used to take home from school. He waits from morning to night, from autumn into winter, until one freezing day, he dies right there by the roadside. Yu-yun's mother breaks down completely and never truly recovers. Because there is not enough evidence, Dong-sik is eventually released. But to the people of Manyang, the verdict does not matter. In their eyes, he is the monster who killed his own sister and another young woman. 20 years pass. Dong-sik never lets go of the belief that his sister might still be alive. To search for answers, he becomes a police officer himself. Now he works at the Manyang police substation, doing all the small, dirty, exhausting jobs no one else wants. Then one day, a new officer arrives. His name is Han Ju-won. He is the son of Han Ki-hwan, a powerful senior officer who is expected to become the next head of the National Police Agency. With that background, Ju-won could have taken a comfortable position anywhere. Instead, he transfers to a small rural substation. Of course, he is not there for ordinary patrol work. Ju-won has been investigating the case from 20 years ago, and he is convinced Lee Dong-sik killed his own sister. On Ju-won's first day in Manyang, another body is found in the reeds. This time, it is a dried corpse. Just like the case from 20 years earlier, the victim's fingers have been cut off at the first joint. Dong-sik stares at the body in disbelief. Has the killer from 20 years ago returned? But when Ju-won sees the ring on the corpse's hand, he suddenly steps back. He recognizes the victim. It is a tiny movement, but Dong-sik catches it. From that moment on, he begins watching the new officer just as closely as Ju-won is watching him. After work, Dong-sik visits his mother. Because his job keeps him busy, an old friend named Kang Jin-mook often helps take care of her. Jin-mook looks harmless. He is shy, quiet, and awkward, the kind of man who seems scared of his own shadow. He runs Manyang Supermarket and has a daughter named Kang Min-jung. Min-jung is cheerful, reckless, and loved by everyone in the village. She is also Dong-sik's goddaughter. Whenever she fights with her father and runs away from home, Dong-sik is the one who takes her in. Besides his mother and the memory of Yu-yun, Min-jung is one of the only people Dong-sik truly cares about. Ju-won soon moves into the village so he can monitor Dong-sik more closely. The two men walk through Manyang together, smiling on the surface while testing each other with every word. Then Dong-sik suddenly freezes. On the table outside the supermarket, 10 bloody fingers have been placed in a neat row. When Ju-won looks closer, he notices the nails. They match Min-jung's. Dong-sik breaks down. Just yesterday, his goddaughter was alive, loud, and full of energy. Now the village is staring at her severed fingers. But the story takes a darker turn. The night before, a man in a black cap carried a plastic bag to the supermarket and carefully arranged Min-jung's fingers on the table. He stood there for a long time. When the camera reveals his face, the man is Lee Dong-sik. So is Dong-sik really the killer? The major crimes team takes over the investigation. To find Min-jung's body, police search the mountains and fields around Manyang. Meanwhile, Dong-sik puts on protective gear and scrubs a basement with bleach. Blood is still visible on the table. After a full day of searching, police find a phone in the woods. The phone had sent 3 desperate messages. "Police, help me, 666. 1 year earlier, Ju-won had used a woman as an informant to get close to Dong-sik. He gave her a phone and told her to send the code 666 if Dong-sik came after her. Months later, Ju-won did receive those messages, but the informant disappeared before he could save her. Now, the dried corpse found in the reeds is identified as that same woman, Lee Geum-hwa. Because Ju-won was the one receiving her secret messages, he also becomes a suspect and is suspended from duty. As he leaves the station, Dong-sik greets him with a smile that is all sarcasm. Ju-won knows that if he cannot find proof, Dong-sik may keep slipping through the law. But the truth is hiding in a completely different place. At home, Kang Jin-mook stares at Min Jung's photo. He remembers how she smiled before she died. He remembers how she smiled every night when she slept. And then we learn the horrifying truth. Min Jung's own father is the real killer. 3 days earlier, Jin-mook saw Min Jung coming home with a man. In their conversation, Min Jung admitted that she was afraid of her father. She said that even one look from him made her skin crawl. That one sentence destroys him. He rushes home and waits for her. When Min Jung walks inside, the nightmare begins. She fights to escape, but Jin-mook overpowers her and knocks her unconscious. While the police are having a staff dinner, the quiet supermarket owner joins them like nothing has happened. But before that, an accident exposes him. Min Jung's keys had been left at the station, so Dong-sik decides to return them. When he arrives at the supermarket, it is already closed. He almost leaves, but something pulls him back. Using the keys, he opens the door and calls Min Jung's name. Then he hears a phone vibrating from the basement. Dong-sik goes down and turns on the light. On the wooden table, he finds Min Jung's phone and her 10 severed fingers. For a moment, he cannot move. He searches every corner of the house, but he cannot find Min Jung. Then Jin-mook calls from the police dinner, casually asking why Dong-sik has not arrived. Dong-sik forces himself to sound calm and asks if Min Jung came home. Jin-mook says she is already sleeping and tells Dong-sik not to disturb her. The moment the call ends, Dong-sik understands. His sister Yu-yeon, Bang Ju-sun, Ju-won's informant, and Min Jung were all connected to the same man. Kang Jin-mook, the timid old friend everyone trusted, is the serial killer they have been chasing for 20 years. Dong-sik wants to report it immediately, but then he remembers the brutal reality of the case. Without a body, it may be impossible to charge Jin-mook properly, so he searches the yard, checking containers and kimchi jars. What he does not realize is that Min Jung is still alive, trapped nearby. If he had searched just a little deeper, he might have saved her. But Dong-sik gives up too soon. To force the police to reopen the serial murder case, he takes Min Jung's fingers and places them outside the supermarket. The next morning, he guides Ju-won toward the discovery. Later, while the villagers are gathered together, Jin-mook receives a message from Min Jung's phone. "Dad, save me." His face changes instantly. Across the room, Dong-sik watches every flicker of panic in his eyes. Minutes earlier, Dong-sik had retrieved Min Jung's phone from a hidden place and sent the message himself. It is bait. Jin-mook cannot resist it. He returns to the yard, pulls up the stones, and digs out the jar where he hid his daughter. Then footsteps approach. Han Ju-won appears at Manyang supermarket and pulls out his handcuffs. He tells Jin-mook to confess. Jin-mook asks, in the weakest voice and with the coldest meaning, if Ju-won came alone. Ju-won looks back. Dong-sik is standing on the upper floor, watching. Jin-mook smiles. He knows he is finished. The quiet town explodes. The owner of Manyang supermarket is exposed as a serial killer with multiple victims. In the yard, Ju-won blocks everyone from getting too close, while Dong-sik kneels beside Min Jung's body and cries alone. The autopsy makes his guilt even worse. Min Jung did not die quickly. Her body failed slowly, and she was still alive after her fingers were taken. Dong-sik realizes that if he had looked harder that night, she might still be alive. Jin-mook later reveals that he had learned Min Jung might not be his biological daughter. He searched for her mother, hoping to confront her, only to discover that the woman had already died in an accident. In his twisted mind, killing Min Jung became his way of punishing them both. He gives the police several burial locations. Excavators tear through the town, and more bodies are found, but none of them is Lee Yu-yeon. In detention, someone secretly sends hands Jin-mook a report and fishing line. He reads the report, laughs like a madman, and swallows it. By the time police reach him, he has killed himself. Before dying, Jin-mook leaves Dong-sik 2 messages in blood. First, he did not kill Lee Yu-yun. Second, he has already returned Dong-sik's sister to him. Dong-sik searches every corner of Manyang supermarket with a hammer, but he still cannot find Yu-yun. 3 months later, police discover more bodies at an abandoned construction site. They are Jin-mook's victims too, but Yu-yun is still missing. Exhausted and broken, Dong-sik visits his mother. In her confused words, he catches an important clue. 20 years ago, while Dong-sik was being held by police, Jin-mook spent 2 days renovating the basement of Dong-sik's own house. That means Yu-yun may have been hidden right under his home all along. Dong-sik grabs a sledgehammer and starts breaking through the wall. Then, he suddenly stops. A red ring appears in the debris. He remembers it. It was the ring he gave Yu-yun when she got into college. Behind the wall are his sister's remains. For 20 years, Dong-sik searched everywhere, but Yu-yun had been only 1 wall away from him. As he collapses between laughter and tears, the major crimes team calls with another shocking update. The person who caused Jin-mook's death has been found. It appears to be Nam Sang-bae, the chief of the Manyang substation. In his safe, police discover fishing line and the same report that was sent to Jin-mook. The report is a DNA test proving that Min-jung really was Jin-mook's biological daughter. That truth may have been what pushed Jin-mook over the edge. But the case becomes even more complicated when Yu-yun's autopsy results come out. If Jin-mook had killed her, she would likely have been strangled like his other victims. Instead, Yu-yun died from multiple fractures. Her body had been hit and run over. So what really happened to her 20 years ago? Then a new problem appears. Ju-won planted evidence in Chief Nam's safe. On the day Jin-mook died, Ju-won saw Nam Sang-bae enter the detention center. He became convinced the chief had killed Jin-mook and faked the evidence to push the case forward. Nam Sang-bae is arrested, but with no direct proof, he is released after 48 hours. Dong-sik waits outside the chief's home, desperate to ask what really happened. But when Nam sees him, he leaves in a hurry and gets into a taxi. Ju-won secretly tracks him with a device placed in his wallet. The signal leads to a scrapyard. But when Ju-won arrives, there is only blood on the ground and a voice recorder. On the recording, Nam says he did not kill Jin-mook and does not know who killed Yu-yun. He only pretended to know the truth so he could lure out the real person behind everything. Then, a white car slips away from the scrapyard. Ju-won chases it, but the driver escapes. When the police arrive, Nam Sang-bae is dead. Ju-won is crushed by guilt. His mistake helped lead the chief into danger. The investigation reveals that before his death, Nam had visited a quiet officer named Hwang Kwang-young. Nam had asked him about one detail from the finger-cutting case 20 years ago. Back then, Hwang had accepted money to alter evidence. The person who paid him was Do Hae-won, a powerful councilwoman and mayoral candidate. Do Hae-won is also the mother of Park Jung-jae, Dong-sik's best friend. 20 years earlier, Jung-jae was drunk and driving through the night. He believed he had hit Yu-yun. Terrified, he called his mother. A guitar pick fell from his pocket. It was Dong-sik's, borrowed from him earlier, and that pick later became the evidence that made Dong-sik look guilty. Do Hae-won rushed to the scene with Lee Chang-jin, a local developer with criminal connections. They covered up the incident, paid off police, and sent Jung-jae to a psychiatric hospital. After years of treatment and manipulation, Jung-jae only remembered hitting a deer, but now his memory returns. He confesses to Dong-sik that he killed Yu-yun. Dong-sik loses control and raises a hammer, but when Ju-won arrives, there is no body and no blood. Dong-sik did not kill Jung-jae, he let him go. Then forensics changes everything again. Yu-yun's leg injuries show that she was first struck by the front bumper of a low car while facing it. Jung-jae did run over her, but only after she had already been hit. That means the real driver is someone else. Jin-mook and Nam Sang-bae are both dead. Lee Chang-jin and Do Hae-won are powerful, but the person behind the original cover-up must be even higher. Dong-sik begins to suspect Ju-won's father, Han Ki-hwan. 20 years ago, Han Ki-hwan was the one who helped shut down the investigation into Yu Yun's disappearance. Ju-won wants to believe his father, but suspicion wins. He secretly plants a listening device in Han Ki-hwan's car. What he hears finally reveals the truth. That night, Yu Yun saw a van shaking on the side of the road and went closer to see what was happening. Inside, Kang Jin-mook was attacking a woman. Yu Yun was caught. Jin-mook cut off her fingers, but while he was disposing of another body, she escaped. Bleeding and terrified, Yu Yun ran toward the road and saw a car approaching. Desperate for help, she stepped into the road and raised her arms. The driver was Han Ki-hwan. He was drunk after a private meeting with politicians, police, and businessmen. In his panic, he hit the gas instead of the brake and struck Yu Yun. Han Ki-hwan knew a scandal would destroy his career. Then Lee Chang-jin happened to pass by. Han Ki-hwan did not even need to explain. Lee Chang-jin understood what had to be done. After Han Ki-hwan's car left, another drunk driver came through the road. That was Park Jong-ji. He ran over Yu Yun's body without understanding what had happened. His mother arrived soon after, called in more help, and joined the cover-up. But while Lee Chang-jin was moving the car, Jin-mook stole Yu Yun's body. He placed her fingers in her family's flower bed and later sealed her remains inside the wall of Dong-sik's house. Ju-won gives the recording to Dong-sik. Dong-sik wants to expose Han Ki-hwan immediately, but illegal recordings cannot easily be used as evidence. They need a confession, or they need someone from the cover-up to testify. Ju-won decides to set a trap for his own father. He goes to Han Ki-hwan's office and plays the recording. Han Ki-hwan is furious, but Ju-won pretends he is still on his side. He says he is Han Ki-hwan's son, and if his father becomes the head of the National Police Agency, that power will protect him too. Han Ki-hwan believes him. That night, Han Ki-hwan is officially promoted. But Dong-sik and Ju-won are already planning how to destroy him. To bring down Han Ki-hwan, they need Lee Chang-jin. To break Lee Chang-jin, they need Do Hae-won. To break Do Hae-won, they need her son, Park Jong-jae. And Jong-jae is already falling apart. Do Hae-won has committed terrible crimes to protect her son. 20 years ago, when Jin-mook saw what happened on the road, she made a deal with the serial killer. He could keep killing, and she would quietly provide places to hide the bodies through redevelopment sites and construction projects. That is why so many fingerless bodies are found around abandoned development areas. When Jong-jae learns the full truth, he breaks. He threatens to take his own life unless his mother confesses. Do Hae-won finally exposes Lee Chang-jin, including his role in the deaths of Nam Sang-bae and Jin-mook. Even with the evidence closing in, Lee Chang-jin still believes Han Ki-hwan will protect him. But Han Ki-hwan has just taken office, and the first thing he does is abandon Lee. He treats him like a disposable criminal. That night, Dong-sik storms into the detention area and acts like he is going to strangle Lee Chang-jin in revenge for Chief Nam. Lee knows Dong-sik is unpredictable enough to do anything. Terrified, he agrees to testify against Han Ki-hwan. And just like that, Han Ki-hwan's glorious rise lasts only one day. Facing ruin, he takes out a gun and prepares to end his life. Ju-won walks in before he can do it. Han Ki-hwan blames his son for destroying everything. He says Ju-won had a bright future, but threw it away for Lee Dong-sik. Then he points the gun at his own son. Ju-won steps closer and dares him to shoot. At that moment, Dong-sik enters too. Ju-won turns and snaps that Dong-sik has no right to point a gun at his father. Then he takes Dong-sik's gun himself. Because if anyone is going to aim at Han Ki-hwan, Ju-won believes it should be him. The shot misses, but Han Ki-hwan finally breaks. Ju-won's hatred has been buried for years. His father married into power, used Ju-won's mother for her family background, and after getting what he wanted, locked her away in a psychiatric hospital. She died by suicide, and Ju-won was sent to the United States for 20 years. Their father-son bond was always a lie. Han Ki-hwan is arrested. Even as he is taken away, he asks for his coat, still obsessed with keeping his dignity in front of the cameras. After everything is over, Dong-sik holds out his hands and asks Ju-won to arrest him too. To find the truth, he broke the law and crossed lines he can never fully justify. In the end, the people behind the Manyang nightmare are punished. Han Ki-hwan, Do Hae-won, Lee Chang-jin, and the others finally face consequences. Dong-sik and Ju-won are also disciplined for abusing their authority authority, because even their search for justice came at a cost. 1 year later, the people of Manyang gather again at the butcher shop for a hot pot meal. For once, the table is filled not with suspicion, but with warmth. After 20 years of grief, lies, and buried bodies, Li Dongsik finally has an answer, and Han Juwan, the cold outsider who came to accuse him, becomes the partner who helps him bring the real monsters into the light. That's all for today's drama recap. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share. I'll see you in the next one.